This is a video that Asmongold did talking about the Dockworker union strike situation.
The latest on the Dockworkers strike, now in its second day. Tens of thousands of dock workers at ports along the East and Gulf Coast continue to walk the picket lines.
Oh, no.
Here in our area, the panic buying among consumers has now started. At the Costco in Teterboro, people could be seen stocking up on essentials over fears that the strike could have impacts on our supply chain. New Jersey reporter Anthony Johnson is live at the Port of Elizabeth with the very latest. Anthony.
What a surprise. Toilet paper's gone again,
I don't think people realize that 99% of toilet paper is manufactured here in the US. The only material we actually import for toilet paper is going to be eucalyptus pulp, and we get that mainly from Brazil. However, worst case scenario, people can always get commercial grade toilet paper, and that is 100% made in the United States from recycled paper. So we don't actually have a toilet paper shortage, we just have people freaking out and panic buying. Same with water. 99% of water is made in the United States as well. Even if you want to talk about the water bottle itself, the plastic, that's also manufactured in the United States from crude oil. And the United States is the biggest producer of crude oil in the world. So we have nothing to worry about. So all these mass panic buyers of water and toilet paper are just hurting everyone else.
Behind me, they are still standing their ground. At this point in time, no new word on any talks between management and the union, but the union workers say they're going to be out here as long as it takes so they can get a fair contract. Now, you talked about the people going to the store.
What is a fair contract?
A lot of people online very early this morning before that Costco actually opened. Of course, this is the Jewish high holy days, so a lot of those folks were going shopping because of that one fact. But a lot of people also said they're getting prepared for the possibility that supplies will come up short.
Shit.
Long lines.
I mean, supplies will go up.
May be the result.
Look at them all. God damn.
I mean, yeah, it's kind of smart.
Supply shortages.
Have y'all that have shopped like in the last couple of days seen this happen? Like I haven't been to the grocery store in a while.
No, it's not gonna. Okay, you're not gonna see prices increase yet, and prices aren't gonna increase over everything. It's only certain items that they're going to increase. We import certain fruits and vegetables and car parts and medical equipment, but most of the food you buy from grocery stores is manufactured and processed in the United States. So really, we're not gonna have a food shortage. We'll have an item problem. If this union strike extends to December, we're definitely going to have supply chain issues and shortages of Christmas presents, and which is just going to increase the cost of all of them. So it's going to be a very expensive Christmas if that's the case. But you don't have to worry about food.
The strike lasts a long time.
We are scared because we don't know. It's just like going over with COVID again. People rushing the stores, everybody's panicking. And that's
panicking for no reason.
I came in at 9:30, I was waiting online. Because I know people panic every time they hear something.
Some shoppers are not panic shopping, but when you mix in the fact that the Jewish high holy days are here, the crowds are unusually
I don't know what that has to do with it, but
I didn't come here because of the strike. I just came here because I legit every month come.
What does that have to do with it?
Now there's people panic shopping.
In the meantime, the striking
and when other people panic shop, you make people who normally wouldn't start to panic shop. Right here, fight automation to save jobs.
Jesus.
They don't care about the money. Obviously, everyone wants money, but if you notice, the signs are talking about automation. Machines don't feed families. Support ILA workers. They're worried about automation taking the jobs.
Things coming in on a regular basis
to
actually fund a.
That's what happened for COVID, right? How many of you guys knew a local store or something that shut down during COVID?
Yeah, every local store, every small business and local business shut down during COVID.
For sure.
Meanwhile, Walmart and Amazon were 100 complete open.
The salaries of dock workers in our region, with some making hefty salaries.
Look at that.
But workers say the numbers don't reflect the dangers of the job or hefty salaries.
I feel like the real, it's not about the dangers of the job. I mean, yeah, of course that's a factor, but a more important factor is the amount of hours worked. How much are they making per hour?
Okay, that's true. They're working 16, 18-hour days is what a lot of guys have said about it. A lot of union members talk about they work 14, 16, 18-hour days. So that is a lot of time worked. But a lot of people don't have that option. And I know a lot of people would work that much if they're able to. I would work that much if I was able to, 100%. The Water Commission already came out and said that over 50% of the dock workers make over $150,000 a year. Yes, that's accounting for overtime as well. But how much overtime do you work? Tell me right now, how much overtime do you work? Do you come close to even 100,000? No? Yeah, I didn't think so, because most people don't make that. The average salary is about $60,000 across the United States. Less than that. The average salary is actually about like $52,000 across the United States. You're thinking, I want to be in these union workers' shoes because they make a lot of money. Going back to where they talked about the dangers, this is kind of like hypocritical. They say, oh, the company says they want automation to help with the safety factor and obviously increase efficiency. The workers say, no, it's not about safety, it's not about safety. But yet they also say in the same breath how dangerous working at the port is. So what is it? Is it not safe? Is it safe? What's it about? Or is it something in between? The automation 100% is a good thing, but we have to help the workers who we potentially take the jobs from, help them get other similar jobs. And of course, you have to look at the profits for these major corporations. If a company has an 8,000% profit, bro, help somebody out. If you're not going to use that to reinvest into the economy, if you're just going to hoard it for the shareholders' sake and not actually invest, then that's a no-go. We got to fix that too. And if that's the case, then this strike should be about something completely different and not what they're claiming.
But workers say the numbers don't reflect the dangers of the job or take into account their work during COVID. A technology expert says if the walkout persists, some popular holiday presents may not be in stock because of a semiconductor.
Christmas is canceled, guys.
Are shipped from
no, Christmas is not canceled. It's just got more expensive.
Whether or not there's a good holiday and a strong economy, or a recession and Scrooge coming along and holding back the gifts that consumers love.
And you can see how the messaging a lot with this.
The gifts will still be there, just not as much.
This news article is about. Like it's primarily about the workers and how the workers will negatively impact individual people's lives and how much money the workers are making. So an average person would watch this and think to themselves, these workers are overpaid assholes and they're trying to take away Christmas.
No.
Yeah, once again.
Well, I guess, yeah, Asmin's right. People will think that, but that's not what it should be about.
Saying no PS5s? Yeah.
Reflect dock workers in other places. Remember, this strike goes all the way from Maine down to Texas, and hearing from the ILA yesterday, they say some of
it's a long way, the entire East Coast and Gulf.
Just over the minimum wage, so a fair contract is vital for them and their families. That is the latest live from Elizabeth.
Just over the minimum wage? Dude, that guy is revving his engine to jump the news.
True. Yeah, there you go, guys. And just another day? Yeah, I guess so. And post-worker strike turns violent. What is this?
No, don't click that one. Don't click that one.
We start the top of the hour this morning with a Fox 5 News alert. Thousands of dock workers are on strike, causing ports across the U.S. to close.
Yeah, in total, 36 ports shutting down, including the port of Baltimore. Melanie Allenwick is there right now live, and she appears to be telling us since this morning that it's been heating up there, and it hasn't been a pleasant sight for many folks, especially the drivers coming in.
I personally think that the dock workers, this, in my opinion, should be a black pill for anybody who thinks that we have two political parties. We have one economic party, and I think that that economic party owns places like Fox, and I think they also own places like you just saw with ABC. And so whenever something comes in and it actually has a possibility of affecting their money in a tangible way, all of these different stations are reporting on it in a way that is, in my opinion,
it's biased to one side. Yeah,
they're reporting on this in a way that is deliberately created in order to make the port workers seem like they are the ones in the wrong. With the bias, and it's a very and here's the thing, is it's a very, very soft bias. But that's why they're the mainstream news. It's because they're the best at it. So like as soon as you see it and you start looking for it, it's easy to find, but it can trick you a lot. U.S. is a very strong anti-union streak. Well, one of the reasons for that is because the mainstream media is owned by people who have a vested interest in this strike ending.
That's right. So for some people, I think it might have been a bit of a surprise.
I mean, the
However,
media
this
has a union.
been in the news that it
the media
could
is
be
part of a
happening
union.
For a few weeks now. So you can see the picket lines behind me here. And this
just looking at the title of that video, talking about how it turns violent. It doesn't turn violent. And they put a picture of a guy with some blood. That's not the case. They're trying to make it seem bigger than it actually is.
Off the job at 12:01 a.m. There was confusion and anger as picketers initially tried to stop trucks from entering, and it did turn violent.
Uh-oh.
I come here for 7 years. I pull the trash and the debris out of here for the Port of Baltimore, and the officer told me to come back and make go in there to get out of my way.
Damn, poor guy.
They attacked me and broke the windshield and lacerated my face. Look at it.
The police did that? Wait, who
we
did
don't
that?
know exactly what happened.
Damn.
The union members said the truck hit one of the picketers as they swarmed around it.
Fuck?
We did see an ambulance come
Yeah,
to assist, and we know that
you walk in front of a moving vehicle, you're going to get hit. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, we'll let the
It's like any protest you see.
exactly what happened there. Now, 45 members of the international.
Yeah, look at him. The truck's like, get the hell out of the way. Bro, move.
It's a big difference in the number, isn't it?
And you see about how the reporting for this, it's not that the reporting is a lie, it's that it emphasizes the faults that they're making, because like it's indefensible to block the trucks.
Yeah.
They shouldn't be allowed to block the trucks. They're totally wrong for blocking the trucks. Absolutely true. But the problem is that the faults of one group are being reported and the faults of the other group are not. Yeah, half-truths? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, talk about the corporations, what exactly the corporations are doing.
Gentle thought manipulation. Exactly.
They've all been asking for a 77% pay increase over
There is a middle ground here.
And a ban on automation at their ports.
That's the key. So they're asking for 77% raise over 6 years. They were already offered 50%, but they didn't include the ban on automation, so the union declined it.
The direct impact of higher prices and product shortages, especially for things like fresh fruit, coffee, and cars. The U.S. Marine Alliance, which represents the ports, said it offered 50%
and not all fresh fruit, only certain fresh fruit. I know bananas is one of them, but there's other fresh fruits that I don't remember.
Apparently that was not acceptable to the union members. We don't know what...
People say 77 pay increase is greedy. So ask yourself the question.
It depends on how much you currently make.
77% more profit. Do you think the company has... Like, do you think companies should pay the employees more money? I feel like they should. I mean, should it be one-to-one? Maybe, maybe not,
no,
right? But
not
I could see very easily people feeling like, and put yourself in their shoes, right? You're working at the dock 70 hours a week. The company is reporting record profits because of the work that you're doing that is putting irreversible damage on your body, and you're not getting a pay raise other than the privilege to be able to work overtime.
And what does record profits mean? Does record profits mean they're making more money? Or does record profits mean price of goods and services has gone up due to inflation, so everything costs more, so they have to charge more because they're paying more. So when they charge more, they make more money, but their profit, the actual profit, doesn't increase because they're paying more for the goods and services, even though they're making more. That's also something to think about. What is the actual profits they're making? Not how much money they've made, but the actual profit. And if that's the case, like Asmund said, yes, they should get a raise, but not one-to-one, obviously. It should, I don't know what it should be, they kind of got to figure that out. If the company actually did make, let's say, they increased their profits by 100%, so doubled. And if you don't want to give them that high of a raise because you just had a really good year, give them a bonus. That's what bonuses are for. Bonuses are for when you have a great year, share with the employees. Raises are typically just to keep up with inflation.
Of course they're mad. Obviously. Fucking obviously they're mad. Yes, just quit if they don't like it. Well, that's kind of what they're doing right now, right? I mean, like, I don't think that it's that binary. So, like, if you don't like a job, like everybody here, everybody here has negotiated a salary, right? I mean, like, or negotiated any sort of payment. Like, what is the logic here that you can't negotiate a payment at all? Of course you can.
Who said that? You can always negotiate your payments, and you always should.
Now, we do want to let you know that West Coast...
When you get hired, negotiate your payments. Negotiate how much you're making.
A different union and working under a different contract, and many supply chain leaders have rerouted some of their goods and supplies. But on the East Coast, it's going to have to be a wait-and-see situation as to how directly everyone is impacted. I want to let you know that, again, we are going to try to...
That's the problem. They don't actually know. They're kind of just guessing. They're guessing how it's going to impact people, and yet they're going to throw all this drama that's happening, even though they don't actually know what's going on.
All right, thank you so much, Mel. Certainly a lot.
And so you guys see how, and I could probably pull up another news excerpt of, like, you know, them discussing this topic.
There's going to be a bunch of news.
Probably say and be the same thing, where it's basically
because there's no new information.
The focus is entirely on the bad actions of the union workers, and it has nothing to do with like what they're protesting about and like what's happening. It's greedy as fuck, and you see, right? So isn't it interesting that this graph is being shown with the amount of money that people are making, and it doesn't show the amount of profits the company is making?
Yeah, that's a good point.
And so, yeah.
Right here, you see a comment that says CEOs can take a pay cut to offset the losses, especially the ones that get multi-million-dollar bonuses, while employees can't even afford a month of expenses. I mean, they're paid for a reason. Even the union president, Harold, he's making almost $1 million. He has a multi-million-dollar home. And I agree with that. The guy's in charge of 45,000 union members. I would expect him to be making over $1 million. If anything, it says he makes under $1 million, but you know, under $1 million, who knows what that means? He's probably making more. I mean, he should be making that much. He should be making more because he's the president, he's the CEO. Yeah, you're gonna make a lot of money because of the responsibility you have. But I do believe there is a limit. You just making infinite profits is insane and stupid and not giving your guys anything. Yes, they negotiated a wage, but if you have record profit years and you don't expect the next year to be record profit, and you don't want to give them a raise because then you'll lose money the next year, give them a bonus. Not that hard. They'll be happy with that.
The elite want. This is good that some people are doing it. Don't pit consumers against workers in an attempt to distract from corporations paying pennies. Without the working class, there would be no them. I'm going to be honest, guys. I scrolled down expecting to find a lot of people hating on these dock workers. This is a very reassuring thing. I'm really glad to see comments like this and people not being so easily baited. Maybe I'll end up being wrong about this. I hope I will be. It's honestly shocking. I'm very surprised.
I mean, you'll never know. The truth will come out eventually.
We'll see how long it lasts, but it's great to see this. But this is YouTube and not the press like newspapers. Yeah, but this is what the public is thinking, right? This is what, YouTube is an offer crazy.
The public.
Of course, there's going to be some people disagreeing too. Obviously, union leader makes $1 million dollars a year. Not, this is more of what I was expecting, right? They're so greedy. Yeah. What have you done? Shipping CEOs doing 7 yachts. Yeah, true. Good point. $150,000 per year. Holy shit, these guys make plenty.
Here they are talking about it.
I respect their strike for demanding more. Yeah, plenty of people with families make 30, 40K. Who feels sorry for them? Certainly not the migrants or the unions. There you go. And so, there were some good comments, and there were some more of the, the comments that I very much expected to see more.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, of course you're gonna experience comments from all over the spectrum. Some people blindly full supporting it, some people blindly fully against it.
Right now that you need to be aware of. So I wanted to have this quick conversation with you just to kind of explain what's happening, guys, so you are aware of what's going on right now. As a consumer,
I'm not moving my picture.
Strike that's going on right now will affect you if it goes on for more than a week or two. So please make sure you understand what's taking place here. So let's have this quick conversation, guys.
Okay.
The ILA, which is the union that represents the East Coast and Gulf Coast dock workers, is seeking higher wages and a ban on the use of some automated equipment. I'll dig into that a little bit, guys. But they say that the workers deserve to be compensated for the important work that they do to keep America.
I think the idea that they should ban automation is so insanely fucking selfish that I am shocked that more people, I'm shocked that they even thought this was a good idea.
Yeah.
Like, basically, you want to make the entire country less efficient so you can keep your job.
Yeah. And they'll say that people are more efficient for now until the robots get
This will only speed up the transition to automation. It will.
Yeah.
American commerce.
That's true.
Selfish to do the companies. The country is already efficient. It's selfish to the other people in America, because other people, like, let's say automation. Basically, the implication is that if a company can produce more products, it can more accurately serve its audience, and it can do so with probably less money, because they wouldn't swap to automation unless automation saved them money. So basically, they're saying that they want the companies to cost more money. And I understand that a lot of people have this idea. This is a very disconnected idea, that companies' money and your money are different. Nothing could be further from the truth. The fact is that all of these people, like, if you work at a company like this, the odds are you have a 401k. You have money invested into the economy. You have money invested into the stock market. So to act like the money that, like, these corporations are making is, like, somehow different than the money that people are making. Oftentimes people have their money invested in these corporations.
Yeah, that's true. That's what the 401k is. You invest in the corporations.
1%. You think only 1% of people have a 401k? That's crazy. What do you mean?
Yeah, but this is kind of like not a strong argument.
And growing. Okay, the dockworker strike.
Yes, you invested in companies and that the CEOs are also invested in, but they're talking about how much they make.
It affects.
I think if they would have just focused on the pay raise and not the automation, they would have got more support. But the fact that they're focusing on automation kind of kills this whole strike.
Anything that comes into America that's imported in along the East Coast and the Gulf Coast of America, from Maine to Texas, right?
Yeah. Even that picture down here, ILA workers.
Dock workers are not doing their job
over machines, defend our jobs and rights.
All of us eventually, right? So the key reasons for this strike that's going on includes, basically, like I said, demand for higher wages, job security, and they're concerned about automation replacing workers. Now,
here's the other thing is that, like, I actually think that if you should pay these guys more money, that's fine. If they want more money, totally justifiable. Like, I think that the, like, kind of like the middle class of America, where, like, these guys are, like, kind of, I mean, if you're making $400,000 a year, right, you're at the upper end of the middle class, to say the least. Or 200,000, I mean, but still, right? You're making a lot of money.
Yeah, 200,000 is upper middle class.
I think that, like, people in the middle class and, like, working class have, like, a massive, like, crab mentality, where when they see one group of people that are trying to fight for higher wages and fight for what they perceive to be, like, fair representation or anything like that, those people are they're, like, jealous and they're mad, because they're like, well, I'm not getting paid this much money. Why do you deserve to get paid that much money? When the answer, in my opinion, should be, I deserve to get paid this much money too, and so do you.
Yeah.
But I think that there's so much, and this is
actually, honestly, a great point by Asman. You'll see this a lot in any company you work for. This is why a lot of companies will not prohibit, but discourage you from talking about pay. Because they know when you start talking about pay, it makes the work environment a lot more tense, because there's always people who will get jealous. As an example, I worked with a guy in his 50s. He had done pipe fitting his entire life. We just hired an engineer, and we put him on his tools on each trade to kind of learn how it works. Because he's fresh out of school, he doesn't actually know how the business works, or companies operate, or construction even works. So we put him on his tools with different trades so he can learn each specific thing about the trades. That's great. He made the mistake of telling the older guy how much he made. And he made more than the guy who was 50 years old doing it his entire life, even though that guy was an engineer fresh out of college. So instead of saying, that's awesome, you have a different career as me, a different career path, the value of your career is higher than mine monetarily. Maybe the other guy's value is similar, but the monetary value is different. So instead of being like, hey, that's your career path, you chose that, I chose mine, good for you, he got all upset, stopped talking to him, and then just started talking behind his back. And the only reason I know this is because he came to me and complained to me about it. And I told him the exact same thing. Why are you coming to me complaining about how much someone else makes? He doesn't have your job. If he had your job and he made twice as much as you, then maybe figure out, hey, why do you make so little? Not why does he make so much? You're getting underpaid. He's not getting overpaid. You're getting underpaid. So that's the mindset people need to start having. I see this mentality a lot.
That's why, like, I feel like this dock worker strike is another really good example of, like, things that I've said a lot, where I think that people are just so selfish that they'll never actually be able to like affect any sort of real change, because they can't stop looking at somebody else who's in the relatively same position that they are and getting mad at them.
Yep.
Increasing wage is reasonable. Banning automation is regressive. I agree with you.
That guy's right.
That's the point, right? I think that the banning of automation and them fighting against automation is extremely regressive, and it's also selfish. However, I think the other stuff does make a lot of sense.
It is pushing for some hourly wage increase and greater control over how container royalties are distributed out to workers. So the strike could have major economic implications, guys, especially for supply chains and, of course, for perishable goods. So if the ILA dock worker strike continues, we as Americans may face delays in receiving these essential supplies and goods that we sort of take for granted that show up in the grocery store. Or
essential supplies is like medical. Medical is essential, similar to what's going on the hurricane right now. You need medical right now.
I think I'm some bald guy with like the goatee with like the white hair. That guy apparently makes like $900,000 or like $800,000 a year or something like that.
Approximately.
And it's just really, really bad PR to have somebody talking about how, oh, we're going to cripple the economy, we're going to do this, and then people find out that this guy makes nearly $1 million a year.
Yeah.
Right, he's rich as fuck. Yeah, because it basically, like, whenever he says that, what people understand is like, okay, now I'm not going to be able to buy my groceries, or the price of my groceries is going to go up massively. So what?
Yeah.
Well,
exactly. He's dead on. People are going to say, well, the price of my groceries are going to go up. You're always going to have them because we're always going to be able to import stuff, but the prices will increase. So this doesn't affect the guy who's complaining about, we'll cripple the economy. He doesn't care because he makes enough money to where he can afford higher prices. The everyday American, they cannot afford higher prices. They're barely hanging on. So I do think that was a bad PR move by the guy to just start trying to strong on the ports. This is not a third world country. You don't just get to go on TV and say something like that.
You mean, so what? Nobody wants to see somebody who's on a high horse who's making nearly $1 million a year use that high horse to cause them to have to spend more money on produce that they can barely afford in the first place. Like, if you can't, and I'm not, again, I've made it very clear that I agree with the dock workers about this. So it's, I'm not saying that, like, this makes their cause wrong. I'm not saying that. I'm saying it's really bad PR. And I think that's undeniable. If you can't see that, I feel like you're so captured by your ideology that you're not thinking about what a normal person would see. Of course a person would see this.
We'll start feeling the pinch here in just a little bit. Not only will it be a lack of those things that get shipped into America, but we may see prices go up as well.
Yeah.
This could have an impact on it.
Of course prices will go up. Somebody says, your take on this is wild. Automation and AI already killed thousands of jobs in the Midwest, and they never came back. There's not an answer for jobs or income when AI takes over. A company does not exist in order to provide you a job. A company exists in order to provide a product to the market.
But if there is no one in the market who can buy anything, then there's no market. So I get what they're saying. People act like automation is already at our doorsteps. We have a long time until automation. Actually, plenty of time to slowly work in automation and slowly work out the people and put them in other spots that really can't be automated. And not 100% of these automated jobs can be automated. There's always certain aspects that can't be automated because the machine can't do everything. And then you also have people who need to maintain and repair the machines. And then you also have people who need to be a backup for the machines when they're down.
If you think that mandating basically companies keep people on welfare by having regressive jobs that could be replaced by automation, but they artificially handicap themselves by not doing that, if you think that's a good idea, I think you're totally wrong.
Yep.
I think you are absolutely fucking wrong. And I think it is the most regressive thing that you can possibly say.
I 100% support all these stores like Walmart, Vons, all these grocery stores. I 100% support them going fully automated. The cleanup crew automated, the registers automated, the stockers automated. I 100% support that because these are low wage and unfortunately low skill jobs. If you do that, you're going to have people employed who can fix these robots or can at least ship them out to be repaired, and you have backups. So you're always going to need a human aspect, but definitely I do support getting these jobs, not taken, but transferred to robots. And then we help the people in these jobs to find new career paths, better paying career paths, because we all know the food and service industry is the lowest paying industry there is. Most of them don't even work 40 hours a week. So they don't get any benefits, and that sucks. So why would you want these jobs in the first place?
And I feel like if we look at historically, every instance of somebody trying to do what you're saying, every single instance, at the end of the story, they're the bad guy, they were wrong, and they lose. So whether this is the Industrial Revolution, computing, the internet, I feel like those are three really big ones. You're not just wrong, no, you're clueless? Okay. Hisoka is going to correct me. What do I not understand?
Classic. This is actually gold.
You can't use a locomotive. You have to use a horse. It's not a good argument. Yeah. No. We'll listen. We'll listen. All right. That's fine. I think this is. I really like. I like this topic a lot. I'll be honest. I really like this topic. So I'm not mad at all. Like I'm just like I think you're totally wrong, but I'm not mad. Which topic? About like how automation and like machines are going to replace people. Yeah, automation's taking over because people are lazy and entitled and don't want to work. No, that's not true. I'll give him like maybe
at least he cares about what this guy has to say.
And then I want to move on.
Unless he just wants to correct him to prove he's wrong.
Program how the robot works, so these dock workers will just get more training on how to work the AI and their jobs won't be taken. No. I think like, yes, that's probably true to an extent, but to act like you can just retrain a bunch of guys whose job it is to pick up something and put it somewhere else, and then train them into like advanced computing and like learning how to use an AI tool.
That's not possible.
It's not going to happen. I typed twice. Okay, what got blocked, right? I don't know what to say. When steam engines were created, the Industrial Revolution made a lot of jobs and created a lot of new ones. This happens for every milestone in human history. Jobs get removed because of technological advancements. I actually think that your argument about the Industrial Revolution is bad. And so the reason why I think that it's bad is that the Industrial Revolution was designed, the Industrial Revolution happened because people wanted to create more products. Whereas automation and AI is being created with the explicit purpose of removing jobs and removing people from the economy. So that's the difference. I see what you're saying, but like basically the Industrial Revolution wanted to produce more. This is not aimed at producing more. It's aimed at producing maybe more, but the primary goal is doing it with less. So that's why I don't think that's a good argument. You removed my reply? Okay, I'm just gonna time you out. Sorry, I
just timed out.
We'll move on. Do you think automation will replace consumers too? I think to an extent it will.
If they're able to increase efficiency and reduce costs, awesome.
Can't do that.
If they can't do that, then
so much of
why automate?
Imports come through this East Coast and Southern ports. Retailers ultimately may experience some shortages as well. These goods that come in through the East Coast and the Gulf could be rerouted to the West.
So this is actually a Harvard study done about automation and the impact it has on everything. So these patterns can be explained by a simple consumer demand substitution channel. After adopting automation technologies, firm owners increase their profits but pass through some of the productivity gains to consumers, inducing scale effects. Automation can thus lead to a higher firm profits, lower consumer prices, increased consumer demand, and in turn, increased firm and industry scale. Higher labor demand and higher domestic employment at the expense of foreign competitors. So this does in fact show that the productivity and efficiency and the profit gains from the companies due to automation will be passed down to consumers. Will all of it be passed down? No. Maybe out of a 10% profit and efficiency gain, maybe the consumer price will be lowered maybe 5%. So they're still making a better profit because companies are there to make as much money as possible. But it is at least being passed down to consumers. So that is a good thing.
West Coast ports, right? Or air freight. Some of it, not much of it, right? But
dock worker strike will be resolved or it will end in one way or another. And do you want to know what's going to happen when the dock worker strike ends? The prices aren't going to go back down.
They will go back down. There's already been research that has shown that because the demand is higher and the supply is lower, the price will shoot up for a moment and then drop back down. Will it drop down to the exact same levels? Maybe, maybe not. But it will drop down.
Advantage in the strike against U.S. ports. And I'll just kind of go through a little bit of this, guys, and talk about it. The 45,000 dock workers who went on strike yesterday for the first time in decades at 36 U.S. ports from Maine to Texas may have the upper hand in the standoff with port operators. Now, there's several reasons why they may have the upper hand. We'll see, right? But organized labor enjoys basically rising support and has had a string of recent victories in other industries, in addition to being kind of backed by what's considered to be a pro-union presidential administration.
I think that the public support will go away the moment that the public has to actually support it.
I mean,
people are of course willing to say,
50-50.
yeah, you deserve to be paid more
money.
But whenever that you deserve to be paid more money means that they have to pay more money, and then the person who's being paid more money is making $200,000 a year. Because again, whether you think this is fair or not, this is what the media is showing people. This is what people's understanding is. This is what's written in articles. People are going to immediately say, fuck you. It's it's understandable. I don't agree with it, but it's understandable.
Joe Biden, right, has kind of given lip service as sort of backing and being pro-union in the past. Now, when I asked about this a couple of days ago, the president actually came out and said, no, we're not going to do anything about it at this time. But the president has the ability to step in. We'll talk about that. I think this article mentions that
He's keeping hands off until they figure something out.
Is likely further strengthened by the nation's supply chain of goods being under pressure in the aftermath of the hurricane that happened recently along the East Coast there. The union is also pointing to shipping
There's a huge issue going on. You can't just
profits. So the union is also saying, hey, look, the shipping companies themselves are making some incredible profit. Now, this profit has come basically because of shortages that resulted back a couple of years ago because of the pandemic that's still sort of lingering on. They're also pointing to a more generous contract that the West Coast dock workers achieved just last year. So the longshoremen workloads also have increased, and the effects of inflation have sort of eroded their pay. That's why they want more pay.
So this is actually a great point, going back to what he said. The contract given to the West Coast longshoremen, so this exact thing that the union is pointing out, where they say, because of the contract that the West Coast longshoremen got, we also want a similar contract. This is why companies and employers do not want you to talk about how much you make, because of this exact scenario. Hey, I see that the person that makes the exact same I see that the person that does the exact same job as me is making more money than me. Why is that? Hey, I should be able to make just as much money as this guy. He negotiated for better. I also want more. And that puts a strain on the company, and that puts a strain on the boss, because now he is trying to reduce labor costs, because labor is the most expensive part of running a business. So he's trying to reduce labor costs by paying you as little as he can get away with. And when everyone starts asking for more and more money, he honestly can't give every single person a raise. He's going to have to pick and choose because they get a budget. This is the reason employers don't want you talking about wages. In a perfect world, you should be able to talk about wages because everyone should be adults and be able to communicate with each other. Unfortunately, that's not the case. I've worked with a lot of adults who do not have an adult mindset, unfortunately. They were never taught manners, and they were never taught how to share or how to be a good human being.
It also says,
and this has happened, and the problem is, like, this has happened to everybody. This is the thing, is like this. It's not like this is some kind of like special thing that they're dealing with. This has happened to everyone. And I think that it's been very common that companies have recorded record profits, and then people either get laid off or they certainly don't get paid more.
article. In addition,
again, we have to figure out what record profits even means.
Has been growing, playing into the union's advantage, and also further enhancing its leverage is still a tight job market, with workers in some industries demanding, and in some cases receiving, a larger share of companies' outsized profits, which is what the longshoremen union is wanting right now. Now, the article goes on to say, I think this work group has a lot of bargaining power, said Harry Katz, who's a professor of collective bargaining, because obviously this is a CBA issue, collective bargaining agreement issue that needs to be hashed out and worked out. The dockworker strike, which is their first since 1977, could snarl supply chains and cause shortages and higher prices if it stretches on for more than a few weeks. That means higher prices for us. And this is why we have to pay attention. It goes on to say that experts say consumers won't likely notice a shortage for at least...
Mrs. Imagine complaining about making six figures and throwing a tantrum that creates inflation for everyone. Here's the problem, though, is that
what is it?
A lot of the guys that are making a lot of that money, the reason why they're making a lot of that money is they're working more than a person would at an average job.
I mean, that's true.
So
I mentioned that.
If you make $80,000 a year and another guy makes $160,000 a year and you're doing the same job, that's not fair, right? But if you're working 40 hours a week and he works 80 hours a week, then it is
he should make double.
Because you need to look at the amount of money they're getting per hour and how much work they're actually doing.
Okay, I'm going to cut the video for right now, but Asman is 100% correct. If you work more, even though you have the same job, you obviously make more money. So, and I think the longshoremen actually make around $36 to like $52 an hour, somewhere within that range. So they make actually more than the average Joe, because the average Joe makes about $25 an hour, which is $52,000 a year. There's like 10 minutes left. Go watch the full thing on Asman's channel. I guarantee you've probably already seen it if you're watching this. But anyways,